Hey, hey, hey. It is the 9th of June, Friday. Hello, people. How are you? Cheers. I'm doing good today. Just got up. It's a beautiful morning. It's a beautiful morning. This is like in many ways, a perfect spring morning here in Nebraska for me. Sunshine, cool breeze. Can you hear the birds? I have the window open. Folks, I'll probably talk about a few things today. Current events are popping as of yesterday's announcement of the second indictment. That's news worth mentioning. But let me start by saying thank you, folks, again for your interest in my music. I am holding the last two copies of The Muse that I have. These are the last two copies available through my Bandcamp site. When these go, they're gone. I'm not going to make another batch. Not now anyway. Most likely won't. Thank you for your interest. Here's something though. I had mentioned recently where I was doing some reorganizing, and I'd been keeping boxes of stuff in the kitchen, because of space. And I had one of the big boxes of the Dereck 2 in the kitchen with what was remaining of these discs. As it turned out, I only have a handful of them left, which are now here. That's all I have left of Dereck 2. But at the bottom of that box, I discovered that I had where I had put my stash of my copies of this magazine that I'm on the cover of back in 2016 or further, 2014. Why, how the time flies. This is almost 10 years old. Wow. That's a blow up of the cover that the magazine Encounter gave to me when I asked, when I went out to the office for some business. Oh yeah, well, I remember when this came out. I was excited about being on the cover of a magazine. First time for me. Been in magazines before, have since, but this was special to me. And I was thinking of my parents and my family a lot. This is was, because I think it's over now. Was a local arts and entertainment and business feature magazine. So, like, for example, here's another local D Chap, local arts woman. Does a lot of stuff in the theater. I've worked with D. Consider her a friend. And they did a feature on me regarding my art residency and my records. Yeah, this is a proud moment. It's just like someone who has trophies or gold records on the walls in their homes. That's what that is for me, okay? So what I'm getting at is I have two copies left of The Muse. The folks, whoever buys these last two copies, if you let me know, I'll include a copy of this along with the CD. How's that? That's kind of a special deal because probably if I send you a CD and a magazine, the postage will go up, but I'll just eat it for the last two Muses. You can get you can have a copy of this magazine that features me on the cover. Punk pioneer, yeah, that's what they call me. Locally, in a lot of people's minds, I am a punk rock legend. That's fine with me. Other folks, I'm just a musical legend. I'm fine with both. I'm still alive to appreciate it and enjoy it. So yeah, yesterday I heard from Everett, and yeah, no, we didn't fall out. We lost touch. So that also means something to me, that it was important for you to clarify that. We fell out. Yeah, you're right, Everett. We never did. We just lost touch like this. I did listen to actually I didn't listen to. I watched. There was a program, Red Hot in Rio, where several of the people on this recorded performances, and I watched the Caetano Veloso, Gilberto Gil, and Chico Science and DJ Soul Slinger. I Good stuff. Okay. Um, More on music, right quick. Someone asked me, what do I think of auto-tune? I really don't have an opinion of auto-tune. It's a tool. Okay, it's a tool. It can be useful, and it can be used well. The person that they brought up, I checked him out. Yeah, no big deal to me. So yesterday, one record that got played all the way through, haven't played this in a long time. This was one that I wished for years that I could find an original copy that I could afford. Still Life. Again, here's a cover that I highly favor. I love this cover. And as the gatefold, it's very striking. The contrast when you do this. That is tight. That's really, what an image. What a contrast. You see that, and then you see that. The originals of this on Vertigo go for crazy money, and it's not something I would be, even if I were, well, I don't know that. I was going to say, if I was rich, I wouldn't be paying that money. I don't know that, actually. Maybe if I were rich, I would pay the money to get the records. But it's a reissue on a Karma, a reissue label that has gone through its own controversy about people, having opinions about it. Anyway, this is an organ. I always used to, when I'd play this, I'd have difficulty getting past the opening of the first track, People in Black. And yesterday, it really came through as to how the band was trying to set up, a mood by the way they shout out the beginning of the album, People in Black. It's good. It's a good album, and it just got better. And the organ work on it is very good. That's the only actual record that I spun yesterday. I'm still looking at stuff here that I've received, that I've honestly not fully absorbed, and that's one of the things that can happen when when I receive material to review. Sometimes, like for example, the last time I got a package from Moon June, he sent me over a dozen CDs. That's a lot to absorb, and especially with the nature of the label, because it's deep. It's music that you want to listen to, and it's primarily instrumental. So the stack that's sitting here, Delta Saxophone Quartet. I've mentioned this, but I still haven't gotten into it super deep. Dedicated to You, But You Weren't Listening. The music of Soft Machine featuring Hugh Hopper. So I've played this once, and I know it's good, but I have to get back to it. This thing, Clint Bahr, Puzzle Box, something he sent me. Can't remember what this sounds like. I do know that Leonardo, who runs the label, great guy, consider him a long distance friend. He seems to have a pretty good bullshit detector when it comes to music. And so, generally speaking, these musicians on these releases are really good. The last thing I got from the British jazz people, really enjoyed this, but it's been a while. Demolished Men in a Violent Way. I think I might have pissed off Matt Parker because of my comment about drum solos. Don't take it personal, Matt, if you happen to see this. Like I said, I'm a drummer too. I know how to play drums, and I love percussion. But honestly, when I hear a drum solo these days, I skip it. I do, whoever it is. So it ain't just you, Matt. Cheers, people. Got on my Steven Wilson t-shirt today. Hand Cannot Erase. I see where he's his new album is going to be happening, his new solo album. He made a post about it yesterday, listening to it on some kind of system. I look forward to hearing it because it's got to be better than that last Porcupine Tree album. And it's got to be, and I think I can say this honestly because Steve knows it. This new album has to be better than The Future Bites, because The Future Bites, for my taste, was a misstep. And it's almost in a way, to me, it's a good thing that COVID dismantled that whole plan that he had to try to go super commercial, which is what he was going to try to do with The Future Bites. I don't think it would have worked, but I don't know that. But in many ways, I'm kind of glad that. Let's see what happens with this next album, because I think Steven Wilson is very talented and capable of some very interesting things. So I'll do a poll, or I'll look and see. Let me start by trying a poll and see if it leads me to say, well, maybe I should talk about this. So I'm pulling this, and have we seen this before? What is? Oh, so it's an old psychedelic period album, not necessarily psychedelic, but from that period of time, the 60s and the 70s, the Mandrake Memorial. This is an original. I like it when I can have originals of these, okay? I sure do. And nothing pops in my memory looking at this right away. But it's a good album, I can tell you that. It's not cheesy. And it's over here in the M's. Right next to it. Well, shoot, let me do this. There's Mandre. That's where that went. What's after Mandre? It's Mandrill. Y'all know about Mandrill? Yeah. Funky, slightly jazzy, black as fuck. If you understand what I'm trying to say about the sound. This was big news in the hood. From my perspective, musicians that were around, and I was around the circle of musicians of importance in Omaha. I grew up around them, so I can say that this was an important album, and it was turning heads when it first came out. Mandrill, right next to Mandre. Before that, in the stacks, let's go ahead and show this, because this is another blues-based guitarist, but he's one of I love his playing. Harvey Mandel. I think Harvey's still alive. I think. Baby Batter, and this one in particular. This is really good. And I remember when this was being played on the radio, FM radio. I think it's Hank the Ripper, possibly, that they would play off of this. Always caught my attention. His vibrato and his tone really stand out. Games Guitars Play. All of these albums of his are noteworthy and worthwhile, whether you're a guitarist or not. And because the blues is so popular, seemingly to me, per capita among people. A lot of you folks who may have difficulty with some of the other obscure stuff that I show will probably really get into Harvey Mandel if you don't know his playing. This is a real good album of his. Righteous. Harvey. He was in Canned Heat for a while and played with other folks too. Interesting, he's a person who had no interest in stardom. His interest has always been in playing and being in the cut, as we used to say. You know, I want to be in the cut. I want to be there. I want to be a part of what's going down. And he sure was. This is another favorite album cover. Iconic. And it, again, to me, is one of the covers like the Grateful Dead covers from the late 60s and 70s that captures the psychedelicness of the times. Cristo Redentor. Love that cover. And now, isn't that another great album by Mr. Mandel? So there, I'm covering it. And what's in the stack that got, oh, whoa, here's one more, see? Shangrenade. I like that title, Shangrenade. And that's a cool cover. Harvey Mandel. There he is with some lady. And then what's before the alphabetically Mandel, before that it's Mandala. Canadian band. Very important historically because of people who came out of this band, and they're white. They were what you call white soul. This album's called Soul Crusade. I've had this since I was a kid. This is actually my second cutout copy because I got it. My first copy of it as a cutout as a maybe 14 years old. Okay. Frankly, when I first heard it, that was what I thought. Oh, here's these white guys doing this Wayne Cochran type of thing, this white soul shouting thing, which is, as a kid, I was unimpressed because I was living with and I was growing up with people where this originated from. Don't take it personally, people, if you don't understand what I'm saying. I did recognize the electricity of the music, though, okay? And the people that, out of this album, out of this band, Whitey Glenn on percussion went on to play with Lou Reed and Dominic Troiano, a guitarist. If I'm not overly stating it, Canadians who know their music history, rock music history, I understand that Dominic Troiano is highly respected and for good reason. He ended up in James' gang after Joe Walsh left. So this is in my collection. Happily so. There's some records for you, okay? I don't know what's going to happen with this indictment because I've seen, I won't say we, I see and have been watching this since my childhood, how there is no justice in this country. Generally speaking, it's bought and paid for. It's a double standard system. Blacks and minorities do not get afforded the same rights and privileges as white people. People that are rich or perceived as rich get a whole nother level of treatment in the justice system, well, in the entire system, in the entire world, unfortunately. So this second indictment of Trump has my attention. We'll see how it plays out. It's sad to see all the people and forces running to his defense when he's done nothing good for this country is an obvious con. And it's just so weird how you have, on the one hand, people who just fell for the con and they're like a cult. They just want to believe it. And then you have other folks who are so unscrupulous and evil themselves that they want him to get away with it so they can keep getting away with it. So I don't know if anything's, it sounds to me like Jack Smith, if I got the name right. He took his time before he indicted. So he must have his ducks in a row. Even as a non-lawyer, just looking at the history of Trump and even before his presidency, what a train wreck of a human being. And like I said, because of capitalism and just the unhealthy state of the world because of capitalism and the economy, we're dealing with this really unsavory character who has done nothing but use the presidency to enrich himself and all these other things that we're looking at that look pretty fishy, like the Russian connections and stuff. You know, it's not a good thing to excuse those things. It's not a good thing to try to let Donald Trump get away. Teflon Don. It's not good for the world if this man gets away with this again. I'm just going on record and saying it. And any cult type of people write some ridiculous comments here, they'll probably, and the only thing they can say is something nasty, something based on untruths. I'm going to delete it. I care about the world. Unlike most politicians, I'm not fooled by the two-party system. The Democrats are not hardly any better than the Republicans. I see that. I'm not fooled. Behind the scenes, a lot of these folks are in bed together with their businesses and their cronyism. We hardly see any legislation that's for the benefit of human beings, do we? What do we just see? Some big action on gas stoves? That tells you everything about their priorities, which is about protecting that dollar, not us. Okay. Okay, so I'll go here. On my last post, I said if anybody wanted to ask a question or just say something personal regarding mental health, you can. And Frank wrote about himself, and his story is, to me, I'll say it, unfortunately for me, the story is not untypical, or not that there's a typical story, but I've worked with so many people in the mental health system where the system, in so many ways, destroyed them, didn't make things better for them. And if did you leave it up? He might have erased it, but he left a long comment, and it's sad because there's nothing that I or anyone could do to help him with his ordeal with the mental health system. From my perspective, I've seen the mental health system hurt as many people as it claims to help. Sometimes it'll even look like the system is hurt people more. And one thing I definitely see is how people get trapped in the mental health system, just like people are trapped at the bottom with homelessness. It's a travesty. And Trump wasn't about to help, nor his entire party. And the Democrats are doing about the same. They're not helping either. It's a shame that we live in the world is like it is. Okay, that's enough for me today. I know that your schedule has changed, Stephanie, and that's a good thing because you're making money now. So I understand you don't see every video, but I'll say hello anyway. And hello, Karim. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Take care. Have a good one.